A prodigy is an individual, usually young, that is able to express and demonstrate consistently an insane, almost supernatural ability to perform a certain task. Now, you can see this in any number of things. You can see this in school when there was that 8-year-old kid that was in your senior level calculus class and was way better at it than you were. You can see it in chess tournaments when the little 6-year-old kid is beating the grandpas in the room who have been playing their entire lives just because something in their brain clicks and works in a way that they just get it. It makes sense to them naturally. They are a prodigy in that field. Now, this can occur in any number of things. It can occur in those aforementioned examples, and it can also occur in the professional space. Some people just weirdly have this ability to find success and to do things well. They just naturally do. They're born awesome. And it's frustrating for all of us that weren't, but they exist nonetheless. And as I was doing research for a video that I was doing on The Last of Us Part 2, I started reading up on Neil Druckmann. Now, Neil Druckmann is the creative director of both The Last of Us and Uncharted 4, and soon to be The Last of Us Part 2. Now, he's been working at Naughty Dog for years, but only recently has he been able and allowed to really demonstrate what he is capable of. He started at the company Naughty Dog as an intern working in the programming department. Then he earned himself a full-time job as a programmer just a few months after that. And then as he worked his way through, he consistently showed that he was capable of leading a team and doing stuff productively. So they let him lead a small team of programmers. And then he worked his way up and all of a sudden he was leading an entire team of programmers. Then he was allowed to start working on Uncharted 2. And then they said, okay, do you have any ideas to pitch to us? And he said, yeah, I've been working on something and writing this thing. I want to call it The Last of Us. And they said, okay, well, we'll hear it. It's a zombie story. That's hasn't been done before, but sure, let us see what you got. They heard it. They said, you know what? Go for it. Let's see what you got. And he starts putting it together, and it turns out to be not just the greatest game of the PS3 generation, but also possibly one of the greatest games in the narrative genre in video game history. Now, people who have gone to school for video game creation, they work their entire lives to achieve even one Game of the Year award. Just one. That's all they want. They don't expect for their first outing as a game director, a creative director of a video game, they don't expect their first outing to yield 220 plus Game of the Year awards. But it happened to Neil Druckmann. Now that could be dismissed as merely a fluke. Oh, it's just, he got lucky. Or it was the rest of the Naughty Dog team. But I don't think that's quite fair. Clearly, there was a difference between the leadership and the direction that you experienced on The Last of Us and Uncharted 3, games that were worked on fairly concurrently in the same sort of studio culture. So clearly, Neil's direction had something to do with it. And I think if you're going to look at the fact that it's a narrative masterpiece, you have to look at the head of the narrative part of the game, who was Neil Druckmann, who wrote it, who conceived of it, who was the creative director of the game. So clearly the credit must be applied where it is due, and it is due to Neil Druckmann. Now, other ventures he's gone into. Well, he's also worked on some novels and some comics, and he's expressed a love for narrative storytelling in general, but he also was the creative director for Uncharted 4, and as you are most certainly aware, and as I previously stated, for The Last of Us Part 2. Now, Uncharted 4 was not necessarily a narrative masterpiece, but that's just because that's not what Uncharted is about. And if it were turned into a hugely narrative-focused game, then it would lose that unique Uncharted vibe that we've all come to know and love. But nonetheless, Uncharted 4 still made us feel stuff. It still got us connected to the characters. You still found yourself chuckling at all these little lines that were tossed in while you were performing mundane activities that were just fun. As you're climbing up a bell tower to try and solve this puzzle to get to the bottom of the basement of this sort of cathedral-looking thing, you're ringing these bells, and every time he rings it, it's not just ring, ring, bing, bong, whatever bells sound like. And then he goes off and he rings the next one. No, there's a little like fun lines thrown in between Sully and Nate. Like, it's just fun. And it's little details like that that have the Neil Druckmann fingerprint on it. But Neil Druckmann's true test is going to come with The Last of Us Part 2. It's going to be the real chance for him to prove that it wasn't a fluke when his first outing was thrown into world focus and got world attention, because it's possible that that was lucky. It's possible that everything just lined up and everyone just started talking about it and it just snowballed and it was great. But that doesn't happen twice. Certainly not twice in a row. And so we'll have to see. We will see if Neil Druckmann was willing to put in the work. I played chess on a national level during my high school years. Yes, I know it makes me nerdy. I don't exactly brag about it on a first date, but nonetheless, I did. And I dealt with many prodigies in the chess world. These little 6-year-old Asian kids that just sit down and you're like, oh, are you saving your seat for your dad? And then all of a sudden they start playing this beautiful game and you're blown away that you've spent years and years studying and working, and he just barely got his adult teeth in and he's beating you. Like, that happens. But eventually you reach this point when you have to start putting work in. You can't rely solely on your natural talent. And Neil Druckmann is going to have to prove that with The Last of Us Part 2. And we'll see if he can. I personally think that he can. I've seen the work ethic in him in his interviews and the things that he said. I don't agree with him on everything. Politically, we have disagreements, of course. But in general, I think with video games, clearly he gets something that people are missing. He understands what it takes to get gamers attached to characters in a way which really no other game studio has been capable of doing previously or since. And so we will see what he's capable of doing very shortly, hopefully shortly, but in reality, probably in the next couple of years when the game eventually comes out. But that's just my 2 cents on the topic of the gaming industry's current Prodigy. Let me know what you thought down in the comment section below. I read them all. And if you haven't seen this week's edition of Talk Gaming, the full-blown podcast, make sure to subscribe. Check it out. Links in the description. Cards popping up everywhere. Check it out. I promise you'll be glad that you did. But thank you for watching. I love you all. Peace out. Loves ya. Bye.